I'm Reinsurers for Ambas TV, and we're at the annual Artemis ILS conference in New York City. Joining us now is Carlos Wong-Fupuy. He's the Senior Director of Global Reinsurance for AM Best. Carlos, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Following the 1/1 reinsurance renewals, how do you see current investors' appetite for ILS?
Well, the pricing environment, terms and conditions have improved significantly since the renewals, but we still see investors in the ILS side being very hesitant entering the market. I think that several of them are still waiting to see what the other does, and it all depends on the nature of these investors. Say those ones which have experienced significant losses in the last few years, which have had difficulties meeting their cost of capital, definitely are showing investor fatigue. We hear a number of them are still waiting to see at least a couple of years of, say, clean results, which is something that obviously Ian, towards the end of last year, complicated. Definitely the market is attractive. There is lots of interest, but we think that any new incursion of capital is going to be still something gradual, cautious, and we'll have to be patient to see how things develop during the rest of the year.
What is the potential role of ILS outside property cat risk?
We've seen some interest in new areas. So areas like cyber, like casualty and specialty are, say, some in which there are some small amounts where investors have shown that initiative. But I think, again, that that's going to be a gradual process. So there are some issues regarding modeling, uncertainty, for example. So that's a significant challenge. The liquidity, the ability of novate, enter and exit the capital quickly, again, is something that is outside property cat is more difficult to resolve. But definitely we see investors trying to show a more diversified portfolio of risks before they enter the market.
ILS used to be seen as a direct competitor to traditional capital and the main culprit of periods of rate softening. Will that assessment likely apply in the next several years now that reinsurance rates are at a record high?
I think that competition that we saw at the beginning of this expansion in the ILS market is something that has changed fundamentally in the last few years. We see more ILS and traditional capital as partners. We have a number of large traditional reinsurers actually using ILS to diversify and protect their balance sheets. And I think that that's likely to continue. Obviously, areas where we have lines of business with very high capital intensity are more likely to benefit from this contribution from ILS platforms that several major players are trying to reinforce.
Carlos, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
For AM Best TV in New York City, I'm Lori Chortis.